to this episode of the Book Fix podcast, a podcast where we save lives one book at a time, but this time one horror book at a time.
One short horror book.
One book at a time. I'm your host, Cheli.
And I'm your host, Yajaira. Dude, how do you feel? We're kind of sort of dipping our toes into the horror genre just a little bit. How do you feel?
Well, I just want to say that this was my favorite thing we did last year.
Yeah?
Because I think that was the first time we did a theme for a month.
Yeah.
And I know we've done it before, but it's really hard to follow. But this one, and we have so many good ones lined up. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad we're starting it early because I feel like it was so short last year. It was like 3 books only.
Yeah, because at that time we didn't do Tuesdays and Thursdays. We just had Tuesdays. I felt like, oh my God, there's so much more that I want to read. And we didn't get a chance to.
No, but these next 2 months we will. And now that we post twice a week, there's so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's so much we could do.
I do want to say my brain is so big right now.
Oh my God, Cheli. Cheli literally read 3 books.
Okay.
Not last night. Well, the whole day yesterday.
Well, it's because I was busy.
I know you were busy, but when you told me that you read 3, I was like, "What the fuck? 3?
They're in here.
They're fresh?
Yeah, they're fresh.
Okay,
you reminded me a little bit of the one we're going to talk about today, which is what? What are we talking about?
We're talking about Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. Do you want me to just start off with a summary?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with a spoiler-free-ish summary, and then after that, if you want to read it, go read it, and then come back because we are going to spoil.
Yeah.
This is a short horror story where a group of friends stay in an abandoned mansion to host one of the pair's weddings. The mansion houses the remains of a bride-to-be who is melancholic from the disappearance of her husband-to-be, as well as the remains of other women who fell victim to her need of company. The friend group shortly derails as the main character, Kat, notices that they are not alone in this mansion.
That was a good summary.
Thank you.
You wrote that all by yourself?
I did.
Dude, that's really good.
I did.
2
seconds ago.
I do recommend if you want just a quick short horror story, this is a good.
Yeah, definitely. It's so short.
Yeah. And also it's always showcased at Barnes and Nobles.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it before. The cover was very familiar to me. I didn't recognize the title though, but I saw that cover.
So we are going to spoil the fuck out of it. But I think we should just start because going into this book and just starting it, it was like, damn, this is the most cliche, like Grudge 1 type movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of Grudge vibes because it was just like, oh, okay, we're these Americans that are in
Japan.
Yeah, they were in Japan. And we're going to experience this thing and there's spooky stuff going on. But you know what? We're going to be great.
We're going to be great. And we're not going to fight at all, even though they were at each other's throats every 2 seconds. But wait, you skipped the best part of our episodes.
What? Oh.
Us guessing how the other person felt.
I'm sorry. Well, it's because I know you're going to... Why don't you guess for me first?
Why is your lip trembling?
I got scared. I thought of the book. Why don't you guess for me first?
So Cheli and I, we don't really discuss how we feel about the books before we start filming, right?
Yeah.
So we like to keep a little bit of a mystery going on here. But I'm going to go ahead and guess that you wouldn't rate this book very highly, only because based on vibes only, just vibes alone.
Yeah.
I think you would give it like a 1.5.
A 1.5?
Yeah.
It's funny because you didn't say anything about how you feel about this book, but I think you would give it a 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the same realm for our guesses.
Okay. I'm excited.
Well, just to even start off, this book, just the start of it, the introduction of being in Japan, and it's just like a bunch of people who are not Japanese visiting Japan and staying in like a haunted place, gave a lot of Grudge 1 vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Really liked it.
Oh, yeah?
I love The Grudge. I love the first Grudge so much.
I actually really like the Grudge movie too.
Yeah.
But there was a recent one that I saw in the movie theater. I don't know what number it was, and I don't remember what year it was. It was so bad.
Well, to be fair, The Grudge kind of flopped after a while, which is such a shame because I was so into like the Grudge short film. This is a Grudge episode now. Dude, I could talk about The Grudge forever. I have a really special place in my heart for it.
Really?
Yeah, but that's kind of what I was expecting. So when the premise was given, I was like, okay, I'm down.
Okay.
And then we started to see like the characters and the relationship between the characters. So our main character, her name is Kat, and she
shows up at this mansion, abandoned mansion in Japan, and another character, Philip, is with her. And immediately Kat's like, what the hell? How did you afford this place? So we quickly learn that Philip is the rich one in the group. He's the one who can afford all the luxury things, and he's like saying this like it's no big deal. He's like, yeah, well, this is the gift to the couple. Like, this is their gift because one of the couple really likes like scary things, like haunted things. So this was his gift to them.
Or just a first class paid vacation in Japan.
Yeah, hosting the wedding pretty much.
I did not like him.
Really?
I was not a fan of Philip because he was so... There was this one scene where he was talking. I'm pretty sure it was him. Where him and Kat were talking and they were like, do you remember this guy? And he was like, who? It's like, the one you had to fly to Iceland. It's like... Who the fuck are you talking about? And it's like, oh my God, this man has so much money to blow. He has no like... No real connection. So I didn't really care for him at all.
And was it Philip? Oh my God, I'm mixing Philip and Lynn. Was it Philip that didn't reach out to her after she came out of the psych ward?
Yes.
It was him, right?
It was him.
So she mentions to Philip, like, you could have at least texted me. You could have at least said something to me. And he was, I feel like he doesn't really have, like, an emotional connection. Like,
or boundaries, because he even, like, touches her without her consent.
Yeah.
And it, like, triggers her. And he doesn't even apologize. It's just like, you know you're not supposed to do that. And he's like, oh.
Well,
oh, okay, I'm sorry, bitch. Gets all like the...
fuck me then. Damn.
You go to psych ward one time and all of a sudden it's all about you?
Huh. I've had bad moments too, Kat.
Wait, can you remind me why she went to the psych ward? Did it ever say?
I don't think it really specified. I think she was just going through it, you know?
I don't know if I like that aspect of her.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I didn't really love about her character because I feel like they're trying to give us like crumbs of her character before this moment.
Yeah.
But to me, they didn't really hold any value. Like, I know that it kind of felt like everyone dated everyone in this friend group. So, because she and Faiz, which is the husband to be, and they're friends. I think she mentioned that they all met at 16, right?
Yes.
Like, they all were childhood friends pretty much. They had a thing, but she said it was very brief. Like, it was just like a one kiss, very short.
No, but they didn't even kiss.
Oh, they didn't
no kiss. They didn't even handhold.
Yeah.
It wasn't an intimate relationship at all. But then, like, it's brought up later, but just to mention, both of them say something about, like, not being ready for relationships at that age. And there's a part where Faiz is like, don't you agree with me? Please, can you agree with me? And it's like, he just wants to be validated that he wasn't a piece of shit and they just weren't ready.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a very not great relationship. But then even Philip had a thing with Talia, which is the wife to be, but theirs was more sexual. And then there's like just so many like,
and Faiz doesn't know about it.
And Faiz and Philip are best friends, besties.
Yeah, and Faiz doesn't know about Philip and Talia, which I know there's so many names, but.
And then Lin-Manuel Miranda's there too.
Hold on, we'll get to him.
Okay.
So Talia and Faiz are the ones who are going to get married. Kat is the main character. Philip is a rich boy. And then Lynn shows up, and Lynn is kind of like the wise crack, like he's just like the funny one, I guess. And he's the one who kind of like kept taking me out of the story a little bit because he was that character who was like, in horror movies, you know that if you have sex you're gonna die. It's like, you know what I mean? It wasn't specifically that, but it was like moments like that where he'd be like, oh well, Faiz is the protagonist, so he has to go do protagonist things. Or maybe it was Philip, I can't remember. One of them. And I don't know, those moments kind of took me out a little bit. So those are the main characters.
Okay. To talk about Kat, to go in order, when it explained that Kat was at a psych ward, I'm not really it's not that I'm against it, but sometimes it feels like in certain horror books, to add the horror aspect, they'll always put like, oh, but they have a mental illness. And it's just so weird to me because it had nothing to do with the plot.
Yeah.
We didn't need that for Kat. And honestly, if that had never been brought up, she still would have been Kat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't have to, like, you have to take it out of your book, but it's just...
It kind of felt like...
There needs to be a point for it. Because well... It's like that. I forget what it's called. It's like the shotgun scenario. Like if you were to write a book and you bring up a shotgun in your book, then that shotgun needs to come back later. So it's like if you're going to write something in your book, then there needs to be a reason why you wrote it.
And I mean, if it was mentioned, I feel like it wasn't mentioned
explicitly.
Yeah, like obviously enough. Because I mean, we can get into the ending part. Maybe that's what they were trying to allude to. You know, her lack of feeling in that moment. Maybe, but like I feel like it wasn't explicit enough.
That's true. But that can factor into a lot of things.
Yeah.
As for Lynn, I completely forgot he was that character. Honestly, I forgot he was there. I kind of just mixed him and Philip up too.
Same.
They were just one guy.
I had to read this book twice because the first time I feel like some of the voices just sounded too similar to me.
Yeah.
And I had to really like sit there and be like, okay, this is Lynn. I don't know what he looks like, but this is Lynn.
Yeah.
Because Philip was like described as like blonde football player. He was valedictorian. Like he just had everything going well for him. And I can't remember Faiz. I know they explained him, but I'm assuming he had brown hair because, you know.
Yeah. And then Lynn is Lin-Manuel Miranda. So I just imagine
exactly
Linny.
who I pictured.
But it's like, it's a weird short story to add that type of comedic relief that breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah. I kind of wish that he wouldn't have been there, or it would have been a different character, because I think it would have been better if Lynn was different.
Yeah.
Because I think he just kind of took me out of so many moments.
He could have still been there too, because I like the idea of more witnesses being there for when it gets crazy. But that kind of just all goes away. Like it's I don't know. But Talia, I want to talk about her.
Okay, let's get to Talia, the bride-to-be.
Because like you said, Philip bought this whole trip to Japan because Talia loves spooky stuff. And they're in a home that is haunted. And there's a story that connects to the home where they like buried a lot of women, right?
Before that. So there is this like urban legend kind of where a woman who lived there was supposed to get married, and I think it was on her wedding day, if I remember correctly. Her husband never showed up. Yeah. And so they buried her alive because she was so sad, depressed, you know. And so she knew that her spirit would stay in the house, and so that was like her way of waiting for her husband to be. But then I don't really 100% understand this next part, but then other people would go to this house and so many other women ended up being buried with her. And from what I understand, it's because she didn't want to be alone. That's what I understood anyway.
But then there was, but then there was the fact that like, if you wanted to save them, you had to replace them. Like you had to sacrifice someone else. I thought it was only women.
Yeah, I know. It is only women. So that's why it's a little confusing at the end.
On why it worked out the way it did. Yeah. But Talia is so unlikable.
She's described as very tall. I know she's like...
The first unlikable trait.
No, I just mean like she's more... I think...
Easy to hit on the knees.
Yeah, literally. No, but it's interesting because I know that Faiz was described as someone who's like 6 foot. And she's taller than him. So, and I know that she immediately is kind of very upset with Kat. And she kind of makes a side comment like, you tried to break us up. And look how well it worked out. Oh my God, side comment. This is why you need to like not get involved with couples. Because if you say something, then it just turns into a shit show. But anyway.
Dude.
Especially if they stay together.
Really quick, the first time that Talia called Kat a bitch, I felt that. Yeah. Because the way that the author described, like, the way that word hit.
Like, it stopped her in her tracks. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, what? Yeah. So Talia's very upset with Kat, and she doesn't even want her here. But she knows that Faiz and Kat are friends, so whatever. So immediately she's just like, you were trying to break us up. And Kat's like, well, you guys were going through a lot of issues, so I thought I was helping. But yeah, and she brings a bunch of candles because she wants to do like this ritual, right?
Yes.
And what, if I remember correctly, it's like you set up all these candles, you say like a scary story or something, and then you blow it out.
Yes.
You blow out one candle.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And then while everyone's here vibing, chilling, it's literally just one night, this whole thing.
Yep.
Kat does start like seeing weird shit. Like she starts seeing someone.
Yes.
At like very early on, but she never makes a comment on it. And she keeps describing this person as like you can't really see anything else but blackened teeth.
I wonder if that has something to do with her mental illness.
Oh, maybe.
Like, you know, if it were something so like common in her life that she wouldn't have to mention it.
Yeah, because she kind of just accepted it, right? Like she would see it and it would just be like whatever.
And that's
but was it Philip? Or I think it was Philip who was like, did you see something? Like he kind of knew that she saw something. So, I mean, if it did have to do with her mental illness, they should have said it, right?
Yeah, they should have, but it could also be that she just never really learned how to cope with it, never learned how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Her being at the ward didn't really help. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's a very triggering thing to all of a sudden go into this where you are going to see things if that's something you dealt with. Mm-hmm. Very bitchy move of all of her friends to do that.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if that was a thing because I do remember she never brings anything up. And then does that lead to when Talia...
So they're playing this like ritual thing where they're blowing out the candles, and I think Kat's drunk at this point because she's like, I want to tell a story, and I think it's Faiz who's like, no, Kat, you're too drunk, like I have a really good story, and everyone's like, yeah, his story is so good, it's so good. And then all of a sudden Talia is like, I don't remember exactly, but I think she just like leaves. She's just like, yes, I need to go over here for some reason.
That's why I was confused because she does just leave.
She just leaves. Yeah. But then eventually she comes back and she's wearing her wedding dress, right? Like I remember she was wearing a dress. Mm-hmm. And Kat immediately notices like something is off with her, like something is wrong. And Talia is saying like, oh, you guys, I found something cool over here. Let's go. Let's go see this cool thing. And Kat's like, no, don't go with her. Don't go. How did you get here? There's no door right there. How did you get here? Yep. And Talia's just like, what are you talking about? You know, like just like gaslighting her, I guess. And no one is on Kat's side. Like everyone's just kind of like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And then this is like kind of like when things start to get like creepy where everyone notices, because I think Talia's face or something about her starts to morph, right?
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, when Faiz notices that this isn't Talia anymore, he like sticks his hand in her chest, no? Or like I don't know. Like I think he was trying to like push against her chest and then it just went into her. And that's when they see that it's not actually Talia, and he starts having a fucking breakdown.
Okay, before we go into that, how did you feel about that reveal? Because that was when all shit started to go bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of wasn't surprised that it happened to Talia, right? Like, I feel like, yeah, it would happen to Talia.
But I feel like, I don't know if this is just me, and it was short, but I don't think any of these characters were developed enough for me to care about any of them missing.
Yeah, same.
You know, it could have been Kat, it could have been Faiz, it could have been Lynn. I would have cared more about Lenny. It didn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. And the fact that had happened to her, I was just kind of like, why the fuck do I want to read a story of them saving her when she was just nothing but rude?
Yeah, she was really mean to Kat.
But I did like seeing Faiz's whole breakdown because it kind of showed.
Before his breakdown, though, didn't Talia tell Kat, like, nobody even wants you here? Like, who invited you? Mm-hmm. Or to Lynn. It was either Kat or Lynn. She says that, too.
It was to Lynn, I think.
Yeah, it was to Lynn, because then Kat's like, well, then I'll just leave with him, because she also felt like an outsider.
And then Faiz was like, no, you guys stay.
Yeah.
But then when Talia goes missing, Faiz it's like so out of character of him because he seems so level-headed, so cool.
But yes, but then also we noticed immediately that they do seem like a very in love couple. Because remember when they first showed up, he's like twirling her. They're like giggling together. And everyone's like, oh my God, how cute.
But it's funny because it took me until him doing this to be like, oh my God, he's like in love with her.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I can't live without her. I can't like be without her. Don't you understand? We were too young to understand relationships last time, Kat.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. This is real. This is me.
You don't even know what love is, Kat. But I do. I do, and it's Talia. I can't breathe without her. He was losing his mind.
He was. And I'm kind of disappointed because just the idea of Faiz, like before he was even introduced, I was like, this bitch is going to be so cool. The fact that he couldn't keep it together made me so mad.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because it just felt like, okay.
I don't think any of them kept it together.
No.
Not the way I wanted to.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I don't know. I kind of just expected a little bit more of his character. At least, like, remain cool for a little bit longer. Like, damn. But, like, first do something and then give up, you know? But he was just, like, so distraught because he was like, that's my girl. If she's not here, then I would rather die without her.
So he is so set on, like, this ritual thing. We have to do it. We need to sacrifice someone in order to bring her back. And I love her so much to the point where I'm okay with sacrificing myself. So when it comes to that, why is it that was something he thought of and not to kill Kat? Because it was a woman thing. You know, I thought I wanted to see him be like, no, it has to be you.
Because it has to be a woman.
If he was not going to kill her, I wanted to see them have that conversation of like, why the fuck would I risk my life for Talia? She called me a bitch earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, it's got to work. It's just like in the ground, right? Do I get a popote?
I know. Well, okay. I was also really confused by this because up until this point, the reader is made to understand that all of the people that have been buried here are just women. Like, how is it going to work with him? Like, is it a love thing? Like, is it because he loves her so much that he thinks that, oh, this is why she's going to come back? Because remember, the original bride was waiting for her love to come back.
And then everyone else who was buried there
were just victims, I guess. I don't really understand that part.
I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense
I think
to me.
this book has a lot of, like, Japanese folklore that we don't understand.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's more to it.
And I feel like maybe we should have looked more into it, but I wish it would have just explained a little bit more within the story.
Should we look into it right now?
Sure.
Okay. Now looking into it. So this is based on something that actually would happen in Japan called ohaguro. And it's basically that back then, women of marriageable age used to blacken their teeth, penciled their eyebrows, and would dress in plain clothes in order to make sure that like no one would take them from a suitable husband and to prevent them from cheating.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's the whole blackened teeth part. And maybe that has something to do with the whole relationships in this.
Okay.
Because it's not like they were cheating on each other, but it felt a little bit like emotional cheating.
Yeah.
You know what I meant?
Definitely.
Because there was a lot of unspoken words and tension between all these characters. But it still doesn't make sense to me why he would be willing to give himself up when Talia wouldn't do that for him.
But I kind of wish that would have been brought up by somebody in this book. Like,
well, Kat thought it, but she never said it. And that makes me so mad because I feel like he needed to hear it. According to Google, thousands of years ago, a bride was sacrificed and buried under the foundations. From then on, more women were sacrificed in order to keep the ghost bride at bay. All the ghosts have blackened mouths and teeth from swallowing dirt after being buried alive.
That is so sad. That is actually
really
sad. Okay. I feel like I agree with you, though, that maybe the blackened teeth does allude to all of their relationships being freaking messy, muddy, whatever. I just wish the development was a little bit better.
This is just talking about the woman in Blackened Teeth. Ah. Dude, I really like the cover.
Yeah, me too. I think it's so cool.
I feel like horror stories are very lucky in the way that they can be very smart with their covers. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the same thing. She was buried, and in order to make sure that she wouldn't haunt anyone because she was waiting for her husband, right? Mm-hmm. They would just continue to feed her people.
I wonder who they is, though, you know?
And why them?
Yeah.
Because the whole Blackened Teeth, like I said, it has something to do with marriage and preventing cheating. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand what the significance of trying to be Faiz.
Yeah. But then remember when Philip talked about like who he was able to talk to get this place for this week or weekend, whatever it was, he did kind of mention like, oh, well, they're not really super talkative, right? Like he didn't really get that much information because I think Kat made a comment about the furniture. Like it looked like it hadn't even been cleaned. So it's like, how long ago was it from the last people that stayed there?
Yep, because it could also be that someone is just trying to feed this spirit to keep her
exactly
like, calm.
Mm-hmm. But pretty much, so Faiz is losing his mind because he's like, I gotta get Talia no matter what, I gotta get her. And he's just like willing. He's like, I'm gonna die right here, right now.
I'm gonna do it for you, babe.
For you, babe? Yeah, this is your wedding gift. And then Kat is freaking out because he is ready to just die for Talia to be buried alive to complete this ritual. And so she slaps him to just kind of like snap some sense into him. And then he, I think, just like loses it. And he's like raising his hand to hit her. And then Philip steps in and kind of gets between them.
My boy.
Yeah, exactly. And so they start fighting, which, okay, I want to say this now. I didn't love Philip, but I also didn't like what Kat said in this moment. Whoever. I think it was Kat. We're in her perspective, right? Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So I didn't like that Kat was like, oh, and of course Philip has to play the hero. So here he comes and like gets between us. And it's like, he's literally helping you and preventing Faiz from maybe potentially murdering you. I'm not sure. And so Faiz,
it's weird. I'm sorry. It's weird that she shows emotions in those moments.
Yeah, it is weird.
Right? It's those moments that bother her, but not the parts that should be bothering you.
Exactly. I don't know. Her character was a little bit underdeveloped, but so Philip and Faiz are fighting, and Philip ends up punching him in the nose, and then Faiz is just like, you broke my nose, you broke my nose. And I think he like, my beautiful nose. Yeah. And I think at this point he like falls to his knees. He's like freaking out. I don't remember exactly, but then he grabs something and just freaking slices Philip's stomach region. And this part is very gory. So things are happening. Let's just say that. Yep. And Faiz just kind of like freaks out. He's like, oh my God, wait, I didn't mean to do that. Wait, hold on.
Philip!
Who has thread? Who has a needle?
I know. Bitch, I'll sew you back up.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because at this point, Lynn grabs Kat and he's like, don't do it. Don't get in there.
Yep.
And but she didn't really have like a lot of emotions. Like I think she does like cry out, but then that was it.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like this part of the story, for being the peak of everything happening, went by so quick.
Yeah, you had to reread this part. And so did I.
Because I was confused. I was like, okay, so he's dead?
No, he was slowly dying. He was still alive for a while. And then he's just there dying. And Faiz is like freaking out. And then Kat, of course, brilliant mind Kat is like, wait.
Big brain.
We can do our ritual now. He's dying.
Not waste the body.
Yeah, that's not a waste of body. Sorry, Philip. Love you.
And he's like, it's fine.
I don't even care. So yeah, they end up burying him alive, and then Talia comes back, but they don't really describe what Talia looks like, what she's going through, what she's thinking.
Just went to the restroom.
She just like stumbles in or something, and
she doesn't say anything. Yeah,
and then it mentions like they're looking at Talia as Philip takes his last breath, so they're not even like,
how do they know if
granting him? I think they bury him, but they leave it open, like the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So they don't close it yet, but
can I just say this could have hit more if it went more into detail of being buried alive. And I kind of wish they had tried burying Kat.
Oh yeah.
Just because that shit's scary.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about how scary that is until we started talking about it now. Because that shit is scary.
It is really scary, but like Cheli said, this whole moment, the climax of the story and up until the ending, like it happened so fast, so quickly. Like I didn't understand like what the hell just happened, because after this moment, after Philip dies, which by the way, I feel like, I don't know if the author hates Philip, maybe he's based on somebody, but like I just feel like the way that moment's described also, like, oh, we couldn't even like grant him the decency to look at him, you know what I mean? Like we were too busy looking at Talia that he just died.
Yeah.
Without anyone even.
R.I.P.
Yeah. But then I went into the epilogue.
Yes.
Which pretty much the epilogue reveals that his death is ruled like a freak accident. They go to his funeral. Talia's in the hospital. And
they all become distant from each other.
So it's described as like, okay, so Facebook messages became Facebook likes became like little just glance, you know what I mean, like you just notice them and then you just don't talk anymore. And then I think she's like looking at herself in the mirror at like the last paragraph, and she said that the way that the light is in this room, it looks like she has blackened teeth, and that's how it ends. And
I think that's more so just the fact that being buried alive, but I don't think it's the whole cheating thing. I think it's more just the buried alive and the dirt goes in your mouth. But is she imagining that because she has trauma? Because she didn't react.
She had no reaction, especially at the end.
So it didn't feel, because we're in this bulk that we're filming, there's a lot of books that did that, like full circle. And I like when horror books do that. Yeah. It's like, it feels, and horror movies do this a lot too, it feels like when you get to the end and you think everything's good, the cycle begins again. And I love that shit.
Me too. Have you seen Oculus?
Yes.
I was just thinking about that movie.
I like that. But the thing is, because it didn't really go into the detail of the importance of the whole blackened teeth. They could have done more to explain the lore of that. Because it didn't do that. I'm just kind of like, that just felt like a name drop. Like, it didn't feel...
A name drop?
Yeah, it didn't feel... There was no feeling.
Significance.
Yes, thank you.
I agree with you. I mean, I remember when I first finished this book, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice the fact that they said it. But then when I reread it again today, actually, I was like, okay, I do like that it is like a full circle. I also really like when horror movies, books do that. But like Cheli said, I just wish there was more weight to that.
Yeah.
But then again, like these characters were pretty underdeveloped. Like I did not
care for anyone.
Like I felt bad for Philip because I felt like that boy did not catch a break. Like Kat just kept fucking hating on him the whole time. Yeah, sure, I felt bad for him, but really it was like, well, that sucks.
Yep.
Damn. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it felt. And it's so, I don't know, it's disappointing. I feel like I don't understand why this is showcased. That's it. I don't understand why this book is showcased so much, but what it could have been is good.
Yeah, like the idea of it is cool.
Yeah.
I just wish we knew what kind of headspace Talia was in. Yeah. Like I have no, like, is that even Talia? What if it's not Talia? That would have been cool. Like if it wasn't Talia, it was just it was the original bride.
And I think it would have been interesting. And I don't even know if this fucking makes sense, but if it would have been her in that epilogue and her experiencing that. Oh. Because then it like goes to like, oh, now I feel guilty because I was being a bitch and people died.
Or just something.
Yeah, anything. But I don't know. It
could have also been like the spirit of the house. Oh, I did like that though, that it felt like the house had character, because it would constantly say like, oh, then the house breathed or took a breath or
when it comes
released a breath or whatever.
when it comes to suspense, which this book did a really good job, like sensory details are super big. Like that's what you should be putting, because like when in a situation of panic, you rely on your other senses a lot. So it's like you experience other things before you experience
what's actually happening.
Yeah. And they did that a lot with sight, because the way that they would describe things was so grotesque. There was like this raccoon art, remember when it went on like how it looked? You describe it in detail to make you feel like, oh, something's about to come up. Yeah. And I like that, but they just didn't deliver at the end. That was the only thing. But it did a good job, like, giving you a mental image on what, like, that you should be scared of something that's about to come up. But I don't know. Like, even the cover, like the woman in the blackened teeth, I wanted that. Like, I wanted her to show up, but she didn't.
You literally just pop out.
And it doesn't really feel like there was a villain. You know, and horror stories don't have to have that. But I don't know. It felt like there would have been because of the cover.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. Yeah, I think it would have been cool if the epilogue would have been even like the spirit's point of view. Like just adding more substance to this.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's me. Where's my husband?
It's like, hey guys, day 5,621,000.
I think he's just late. He might just be late.
Guys, I'm just patiently waiting here. Yeah. It's like, have you seen this man?
I know. I think we're getting married 5 million years ago. Like, who knows? I'll wait.
I'm sure someone has seen him.
I kind of wish they would have seen the other bodies.
Ooh, that would have been
because they bring it up, but they never see anything.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I feel like there could have been so much, like, amazing things that could have happened in this book.
I wanted to like it. I really did.
Me too.
But unfortunately, overall thoughts, I just didn't care enough about the characters. It just comes down to that. What happened to all of them, even if it's supposed to be, like, unfortunate that it happened, it was a freak day for them, I don't fucking care about any of these characters except for Lin-Manuel Miranda. And he's not even in it.
He's not even in there.
I would just give it a straight 1. Like, I don't like it.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I kind of feel the same way. I'm
sad to give it a 1, though.
Me too. Like, I really had high hopes for this book. I think it could have been so cool. So scary, too, because I feel like it did a good job with suspense, like you mentioned. But I'm just disappointed.
Do you remember The Woman in Black?
Yeah.
I fucking love those movies. Mostly the first one. But there was a scene where, like, the kids were covered in mud because they were buried. Like, in that. I wish it would have had that. Like, you know, like, I don't know. So it's just disappointing. Like, I think about what it could have been, and I'm like,
just sad.
Yeah, but I wonder, I don't even know what it got as a general rating.
Should we look?
Yeah. I'm going to guess.
Okay, guess.
I don't know if it did go. I think I'm going to guess a 2. That's going to be where it's at. That's saying something because some people, like, move the score a lot.
Let's see.
I'm going to guess a 2.
I would guess a 3.
Really? Okay.
Well,
maybe 2.8. Oh, okay. Nice.
2.69. Yeah. I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Damn.
2.69 Wait, I know is the rating on Goodreads. I don't know.
I know we don't usually do this, but can you look up a bad rating and I'll look up a good rating of the book?
God.
I want to see.
Wait, can we do that at the end?
Yeah, we could do it at the end, but I'm going to pull it up now.
Wait, you want me to do a good or a bad one?
You do a bad one. Thank you so much for listening while we are looking for these reviews. It means a lot if you're listening to us in audio form, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or anywhere else you get your podcasts on. If you can please leave a rating of 5 stars and a review on what books we should do next. That would be really nice.
That would be awesome.
It's been really great to see, like, the amount of, like, engagement we've been getting. So I really hope that continues. If you want to help us a little more, telling your friends, family, loved ones, your enemies, anyone about us really helps, because the best type of exposure is through word of mouth. We also created a Patreon. Do you want to talk about that?
So we created a Patreon, mostly, well, we had a lot of hopes for a Patreon, but at the moment it really just serves as a way for our listeners to let us know that you really enjoy what we're doing. I mean, hey, we're putting out 2 videos a week. That takes up a lot of time and just dedication, honestly. But if you just want to show that you love what we do, you can find us on patreon.com/bookfix.
Yes, thank you. If you are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. If you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we post every Tuesday and Thursday. So usually at the end of episodes, we read a rating based off of a dice roll, but I would like to read one really bad rating and one really good one.
Okay, I have one. Do you want me to do mine?
Yes.
I found this on Goodreads. It is written by Riveting Reads. They rated it a 1 out of 5, and they wrote, I couldn't tell you one thing that happened in this book. I was so bored. It was the wordiest story, and the sentences felt never ending. The characters were utterly insufferable.
Dang, that's funny. And the exact opposite of my 5-star rating.
Oh my God.
From Sunny, who wrote, quoting the book, I hope this house eats you. And then a response, I hope the same about you. I came into this book expecting all the 1-star ratings and was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed this and was genuinely terrified at times. It's a quick read and a wonderful horror novella. It was okay to me that I didn't like anyone in the cast. I was just there screaming, get out of there. See, you can hate people in a cast, but they weren't a strong cast.
Yeah, they weren't really developed that well.
No.
And then I was going to say, I forgot about that quote. Because I remember reading it and thinking like,
It's like I said, that's one of those quotes that's like,
I didn't.
You can tell that the author wants that to be the standout quote, you know, but it's like it doesn't land hard enough for it to be that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we can talk about this forever. I feel like this episode kind of feels like, okay, well, bye. Cue the music. Doesn't it feel like that?
It's like, okay, anyway, can you go on to the next episode? Because, yeah, I'm over it.
No, but I'm excited for our horror trip. I'm excited for this whole next 2 months.
Yeah.
So we, con más ánimo.
Horror and thriller and mystery.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Love it. I'm excited for it.
Con más ánimo.
Con más ánimo.
Okay, Blue Beetle. Who saw Blue Beetle? Let me know. Come on, guys.
No one's answering.
Go
ahead and text this number here.
How did we do it? It's like the tips. It's like 15% tip.
Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye. I think that could end there.